Have you noticed that eating the same amount you always have now causes weight gain? That simply would not happen in your younger years? Have you noticed that despite sleeping enough, you wake up feeling heavy, foggy, and unrested? Have you wondered why your body seems to stop responding the way it used to? No matter how many healthy foods you eat or how faithfully you exercise. I watched someone I love closely go through exactly this experience, and what we eventually discovered changed everything about how we thought about aging and breakfast. Today's video is about one of the most important scientific discoveries of the past 2 decades, and what it means for how you should be eating in the morning as you get older. The central message may surprise you, because it contradicts something most of us have believed our entire lives. As you age, skipping breakfast or eating very lightly in the morning may be one of the most powerful things you can do to bring your cells back to life. This is not a weight loss strategy. This is a cellular survival strategy, and the science behind it is backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. To understand why, you first need to understand what is actually happening inside your 37 trillion cells as you age. Each of your cells contains structures called mitochondria, which are the power generators that convert food into energy. In your 20s, each cell contained thousands of healthy mitochondria, functioning at peak efficiency. As the decades pass, these mitochondria accumulate damage. Their numbers decline, and the ones that remain produce energy less efficiently, while leaking increasing amounts of free radicals that damage surrounding cellular structures, including DNA, proteins, and cell membranes. At the same time, misfolded and damaged proteins begin accumulating inside your cells, degrading their function. Your cells gradually transform from efficient, clean, well-maintained factories into cluttered, damaged, struggling operations. This cellular deterioration is the biological foundation of aging itself. Here is the discovery that changed everything. Your cells possess a built-in self-cleaning and recycling system called autophagy. The word comes from Greek roots, meaning self-eating, and it describes exactly what happens. Your cells break down and digest their own damaged components, including dysfunctional mitochondria, accumulated toxic proteins, invading pathogens, and cellular debris of all kinds. The broken-down components are then recycled into raw materials for building new, healthy cellular structures. It is your body's most elegant anti-aging technology, operating continuously at the microscopic level. The scientist who mapped this system in detail received the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 2016, and the global medical community's excitement about the discovery has only grown since then. The critical thing you need to understand about autophagy is what activates it and what suppresses it. Every time you eat, your blood glucose rises and your pancreas releases insulin. Insulin activates a cellular growth signaling molecule called mTOR. When mTOR is active, your cells are in growth and accumulation mode, building new structures and storing resources. In this state, autophagy is suppressed. The logic makes sense. When nutrients are plentiful, the cell focuses on growth rather than cleanup. But when you stop eating, blood glucose falls, insulin drops, mTOR activity decreases, and your cells shift into maintenance and repair mode. Autophagy activates. The cellular cleanup begins. Damaged proteins are identified and broken down. Dysfunctional mitochondria are dismantled and replaced. The cell is restored. This is where the connection to breakfast becomes critically important. If you eat breakfast at 7 in the morning after a 7 in the evening dinner, your fasting window is 12 hours. Autophagy begins activating in the final hours of this window, but it has just barely started when you eat again and shut it down. When you skip breakfast or eat very lightly, and push your first meal to 11 in the morning, your fasting window extends to 16 hours. Research consistently shows that meaningful autophagy activation begins around 12 to 14 hours of fasting, and reaches significant intensity between 16 and 24 hours. By extending your morning fast, you allow autophagy to operate at its most productive level, before you interrupt it with food. Now here is why this matters more with age than it did when you were younger. In youth, autophagy operates with natural vigor. It keeps cellular debris from accumulating, maintains mitochondrial quality, and prevents the buildup of the toxic protein. aggregates associated with neurodegenerative disease. But autophagy declines with age. The very cellular cleaning system you need more as damage accumulates becomes less effective, precisely when you need it most. Simultaneously, your cells are accumulating damage at an accelerating rate. This widening gap between increasing cellular damage and decreasing cleanup capacity is the molecular engine driving age-related disease. Researchers have found that impaired autophagy is directly linked to the amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease, the metabolic dysfunction underlying type 2 diabetes, the arterial inflammation driving cardiovascular disease, and the immune decline that makes older people more vulnerable to infection. Restoring autophagy activity through strategic fasting is not an alternative health trend. It is a scientifically validated intervention that targets the root cause of cellular aging. Autophagy delivers specific benefits that become more valuable with every passing decade. It clears the amyloid and tau protein accumulations that precede dementia, potentially delaying cognitive decline. It identifies and eliminates early-stage abnormal cells before they develop into cancer, reducing long-term cancer risk. It restores the function of insulin, producing pancreatic beta cells and repairs damaged insulin receptors, improving blood sugar regulation. It removes damaged components from heart muscle cells and vascular endothelial cells, improving cardiovascular function and suppressing arterial plaque formation. It eliminates dysfunctional mitochondria and replaces them through a process called mitophagy, restoring cellular energy production. It activates immune cells and improves their capacity to identify and destroy viral threats. Far from being simply a weight management tool, activated autophagy addresses the biological root of nearly every major age-related health challenge simultaneously. The practical question is how to structure your mornings to maximize autophagy while still meeting your body's nutritional needs, particularly since those needs change significantly as you age. The answer requires understanding a few key principles. First, the goal is not starvation. The goal is strategic insulin management. Insulin is the primary switch that controls autophagy. Keeping insulin low for an extended period activates autophagy. Raising insulin even slightly shuts it down immediately. This means that not all morning foods are equal in their effect on your fasting state. Black coffee with no additives has minimal insulin impact and actually contains polyphenols that activate autophagy-related genes. Plain green tea contains a compound called EGCG that is one of the most potent natural autophagy activators identified by researchers. Plain water obviously has zero insulin impact. All three can be consumed during your fasting window without disrupting autophagy. Conversely, orange juice, sweetened drinks, toast, fruit, or any carbohydrate-containing food raises blood glucose and insulin rapidly, terminating your autophagy window instantly. Second, age-specific protein needs must be respected within your eating window. Muscle protein synthesis efficiency declines with age, meaning older adults actually require more protein per kilogram of body weight than younger people do to maintain muscle mass, not less. Research supports a target of 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day for adults over 60. For a 132-pound person, that means approximately 72 to 90 grams of protein daily, distributed across 2 to 3 meals within your eating window. Skipping breakfast without adequately compensating with protein in your remaining meals will cause muscle loss over time. The combination of an extended fasting window and protein-rich meals within that window is what produces the ideal outcome of preserved or improved muscle quality alongside activated autophagy. The first meal you eat after your fasting window ends deserves particular attention because how you break your fast significantly influences the metabolic response that follows. After 14 to 16 hours of fasting, insulin is at its lowest point, and your body is extremely sensitive. Breaking your fast with refined carbohydrates triggers a sharp blood glucose spike and a correspondingly large insulin surge, immediately collapsing the metabolic state you built through hours of fasting. Breaking your fast with protein and healthy fat first produces a gradual, stable blood glucose response, maintains low insulin and allows you to extend the benefits of your fasting state for a longer period. Practical first meal options that honor this principle include 2 eggs, with half an avocado and a handful of walnuts, plain Greek yogurt with ground flaxseed and a few berries, or a small portion of fatty fish, with leafy greens dressed in olive oil. Each of these options delivers substantial protein and healthy fat while producing a minimal insulin response. For adults in their 60s, the recommended fasting window is 14 to 16 hours. Finish dinner by 7 in the evening, and eat your first meal between 9 and 11 the next morning. Start with 14 hours for the first month, and extend to 16 hours in the second month as your body adapts. For adults in their 70s, a more conservative 12 to 14-hour window is appropriate. The increased risk of muscle loss and nutritional deficiency at this age makes extended fasting less suitable as a daily practice. For adults in their 80s, the priority shifts from maximizing autophagy to ensuring adequate nutrition, hydration, and muscle support. Natural overnight fasting between dinner and breakfast is sufficient at this age. Any modification to this pattern should involve medical supervision. Fasted walking in the morning is the single most effective exercise practice to combine with your morning fast. Walking at a brisk but sustainable pace for 20 to 30 minutes before your first meal amplifies autophagy activation, accelerates fat utilization, stabilizes blood glucose, and triggers the release of a brain-derived compound called BDNF that supports the growth and strengthening of neural connections. Research comparing fasted aerobic exercise to fed aerobic exercise consistently shows that fat burning is significantly greater in the fasted state. Because no stored glucose is available to burn first, the intensity should be moderate, meaning slightly breathless but still able to speak in sentences. High-intensity exercise during fasting is not appropriate for most older adults because it elevates cortisol sharply and can suppress immune function temporarily. 5 nutrients and compounds deserve particular attention for supporting autophagy and cellular health in older adults. Resveratrol found in blueberries, grapes, and dark chocolate activates a longevity gene called SIRT1 that directly upregulates autophagy. Adding a handful of blueberries or 1 to 2 squares of 70% or higher cacao dark chocolate to your eating window provides meaningful resveratrol intake. Spermidine found in wheat germ, mushrooms, legumes, and fermented foods is one of the most studied natural autophagy activators, currently under investigation in aging research. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish like salmon and mackerel directly suppress the inflammatory compounds produced by aging fat tissue and support the autophagy of damaged neural cells. Magnesium, found in pumpkin seeds, almonds, leafy greens, and whole grains, is required for over 300 enzymatic reactions, including those governing mitochondrial function, DNA repair, and insulin sensitivity. Vitamin D found in fatty fish, egg yolks, and mushrooms, and produced through sun exposure, has been shown to regulate the expression of autophagy-related genes. Deficiency impairs autophagy directly, and a significant proportion of older adults are deficient. Sleep is the silent partner of autophagy that is frequently overlooked. During deep sleep, your brain activates its own lymphatic clearing system, called the glymphatic system, which flushes the toxic protein accumulations associated with neurodegenerative disease. Full-body cellular autophagy is also elevated during sleep. The longest fasting period most people experience is their overnight sleep, making sleep quality inseparable from autophagy quality. Finishing dinner at least 3 hours before bed, maintaining consistent sleep and wake times, eliminating screens for 1 hour before sleep, and keeping the bedroom cool and dark are the most evidence-backed practices for improving sleep quality in older adults. Chronic stress is autophagy's most consistent suppressor. The stress hormone cortisol activates mTOR, the same signaling pathway that insulin activates, and mTOR activation suppresses autophagy. An older adult who fasts diligently every morning, but lives with unmanaged chronic stress, will experience dramatically limited autophagy benefits. 10 to 20 minutes of daily meditation, regular time outdoors in natural settings, meaningful social connection, and engagement in purposeful activities. All reliably reduce cortisol and remove one of the largest barriers to autophagy activation. Before concluding, critical safety information must be clearly stated. Individuals managing diabetes with medication must consult their physician before extending their fasting window, because hypoglycemia risk increases significantly when blood glucose lowering medications are taken without accompanying food. People with kidney disease, heart failure, or a history of eating disorders require medical supervision before altering their eating patterns. Pregnant and breastfeeding women should not practice extended fasting. Anyone over 80 should approach dietary changes only with physician involvement. If you experience dizziness, heart palpitations, severe weakness, or cold sweats during your fasting period, eat or drink something immediately and consult your doctor before continuing. The information in this video is educational and does not substitute for individualized medical advice from your healthcare provider. Your cells have been carrying the damage of decades quietly and without complaint, but they also carry the extraordinary capacity for self-repair that autophagy represents. That capacity does not disappear with age. It needs to be unlocked, and the key is as simple as choosing when you eat your first meal of the day. Begin tomorrow. Finish dinner tonight before 7. Wake up tomorrow and drink a glass of warm water before reaching for your phone. Walk outside for 20 minutes before eating anything. Those 3 actions are the beginning of a cellular renewal process that compounds in power. Every week you sustain it. If this video gave you something valuable, please like it and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Your comments and questions are always welcome below. The next video will explore sleep optimization, strategies that maximize your overnight cellular repair. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.